Welcome to another exciting video on Chat Smart English. In today's lesson, we're diving into a crucial topic that will help you speak English fluently and confidently. If you're ready to take your English to the next level, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss out on more helpful content. Let's get started and make learning English an exciting adventure. Hi, my name is Emma Carter, and this is the story of how I improved my English and changed my life. I was a shy person, struggling to communicate in English. I was afraid to speak and make mistakes, but deep inside, I had a dream: to speak English fluently and confidently. One day, I decided to take the first step. I joined an English-speaking course at a small school in my neighborhood. My first lesson was on Monday morning. I walked into the classroom, feeling nervous and excited at the same time. The teacher, Mr. Collins, greeted everyone with a warm smile. He introduced himself and asked each student to do the same. When it was my turn, I said, "My name is Emma. I am from Mexico. I want to learn English because I want to make friends and get a good job." Mr. Collins encouraged me and said, "That's a great goal, Emma. In this class, we will focus on speaking, listening, and having fun while learning. Remember, mistakes are part of learning." His words gave me confidence, and I started to feel more comfortable. During the lesson, Mr. Collins gave us an activity. We had to introduce ourselves to our classmates and share one interesting fact about our lives. I spoke to a girl named Sarah. She was from France and loved painting. I told her that I enjoyed cooking, and she said she would love to try some Mexican food. It was my first English conversation, and I was so happy that I could understand and respond. After class, Mr. Collins gave us a tip. He said, "If you want to improve your English, you must practice every day. Speak as much as you can, even if it's just to yourself, and most importantly, enjoy the process." That day, I decided to follow his advice. I promised myself that I would speak in English every day, even if it was just a few sentences. I also made a list of words I wanted to learn, and I carried it everywhere with me. This was the beginning of my journey to fluency. I go to school on Tuesday again. One student asks a question that is very interesting. She asks, "What is the best method to learn new words?" Our teacher says there are many things you can do if you want to learn new words. For me, reading is the best. If you read, you learn faster than people who don't read. It is good to read for 30 minutes every day. Our teacher explains, "I want to show you what you can do to get the most from reading." She continues, "It is very important that the book or text you read is interesting to you. The book can be a nice story, or the text can have some useful information for your job or your hobby. Don't read a text that isn't interesting for you." She adds, "It is good to read a text where you know many words. Of course, sometimes you might come across words that you don't know. When you see a word you don't know, take a dictionary and look up the word. Then continue reading. You don't have to write the word on a piece of paper. You don't have to try to remember the word. Just translate it and keep reading." Our teacher smiles and says, "This method is very simple. You read and translate the new words. That's all." Reading is also good because when you read, you learn how every word is connected to other words in the sentence. You see how to connect the words correctly. She tells us, "This method of learning new words is very effective. Try it, and you will see how fast you can learn new words." Then, we continue with the lesson. We speak about the situation in England. we talk about the best jobs for students. This is good because I want to find a job. I want to do something after school. I ask the other students if they know where I can find a job. They tell me that I can go to a job center. The job center has many jobs for students. I am happy because now I know where I can find a job. The next day at school, our teacher says something very important. To learn a language well, you need to practice speaking. It is not enough to just read or listen to others. You must speak the language every day, even if it's just a few minutes. I listen carefully. She explains that speaking helps us use the new words and phrases we learn. It makes us more confident and comfortable with the language. You don't need to wait until you are perfect. Start speaking as soon as you can, she says. The more you speak, the better you will get. She asks the class, how many of you practice speaking English every day? Some students raise their hands, but many do not. She then adds, it's important to practice every day, even if it's just for 5 minutes. You can talk to your friends, your family, or even yourself. I think about this. I remember how I used to be shy about speaking. But now I know that speaking helps me become better. I decide to start practicing more. Our teacher gives us a simple exercise. Find a partner and speak about your favorite hobby. Try to speak for at least 5 minutes. If you don't know the words for something, don't stop. Use other words or explain the meaning. The important thing is to keep talking. I find a partner and we talk about our hobbies. It feels good to speak, even though I make some mistakes. My partner smiles and says, it's okay. We're here to learn. At the end of the lesson, our teacher reminds us, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Mistakes are part of learning. Keep practicing, and soon you'll see a big improvement. As I leave the class, I feel motivated. I am ready to practice speaking more every day. The next lesson focuses on listening. Our teacher says, listening is just as important as speaking. The more you listen, the better you will understand the language. I've always thought that reading and speaking were the most important parts of learning English, but today I learned that listening is just as essential. Our teacher tells us that by listening, we can understand how words are pronounced, how sentences are formed, and how native speakers use the language naturally. She plays a short audio clip of a conversation between 2 people. Listen carefully and try to understand what they are saying. Don't worry if you don't understand everything. Just try to get the main idea, she explains. I listen closely, trying to catch every word. At first, it's hard. The speakers talk quickly, and I don't understand some of the words. But our teacher says, that's normal. It takes time. You won't understand everything at first, but with practice, you'll improve. She encourages us to listen to English every day. You can listen to podcasts, watch movies, or listen to songs in English. The more you hear the language, the easier it will be to understand. I decide to try listening to podcasts in English at home. I choose a simple one, something about learning English, and I listen for a few minutes. At first, I don't understand much, but I keep listening. Slowly, I begin to recognize words and phrases I've learned in class. The next day, our teacher gives us a new task. Listen to a short story and then retell it in your own words. It's a bit challenging, but I managed to do it. My teacher says, well done. Listening and speaking together will help you become fluent. By the end of the class, I understand how powerful listening is. It helps me connect words with their meanings, and it makes me feel more confident when speaking. I know that with more practice, I'll be able to understand English much better. Today, our teacher emphasizes the importance of speaking with confidence. Don't worry about making mistakes, she says. Everyone makes mistakes when learning a new language. The key is to keep speaking and practicing. I've always been nervous about speaking English. I worry about making mistakes, especially with my accent. But our teacher reassures us, your goal is communication, not perfection. As long as you can be understood, you're doing great. She asks us to pair up with a classmate and have a short conversation in English. I feel nervous, but I remind myself that this is a learning experience and I won't be judged. My partner and I talk about our favorite foods and hobbies. I make a few mistakes, but my partner is patient and understanding. I start to relax and enjoy the conversation. Afterward, our teacher gives us some tips on how to speak with more confidence. 1. Practice regularly. The more you speak, the more confident you'll become. 2. Don't fear mistakes. Mistakes are part of the learning process. 3. Use simple language. You don't need to use complex words to communicate effectively. 4. Make eye contact and smile. This will help you feel more confident and also make the conversation more engaging. I take these tips to heart and promise myself to practice speaking every day. Later that evening, I record myself speaking English for a few minutes. It's a little awkward at first, but I keep going. I realize that the more I speak, the more natural it feels. The next day, I join a conversation group where we practice speaking in English. I feel more comfortable now, and I can understand more of what others are saying. I try to speak as much as I can, even if I make a mistake. Everyone is supportive, and I feel more confident with each conversation. By now, I've learned that vocabulary is crucial to mastering English. Without the right words, it's hard to express yourself clearly. Our teacher explains that learning new words every day is key to improving. We begin today's lesson by learning 5 new words. Don't try to memorize all the words at once, our teacher advises. Instead, focus on understanding the meaning and how to use them in sentences. She writes the words on the board: curious, celebrate, habit, creative, and explore. We work in pairs to create sentences using these words. I choose celebrate and habit to form my sentences. I celebrate my birthday with my family every year. One of my good habits is reading every day. At first, I struggle to use the words naturally, but after a few tries, it gets easier. Our teacher encourages us to use the new vocabulary in daily conversations, even if we make mistakes. She reminds us, the goal is to make the words a part of your language, not just something you memorize for a test. After class, I spend some time reviewing the new words. I write them in a notebook, along with their meanings and example sentences. I also add a few more words I've come across while reading books in English. That evening, I make a goal to learn and use 5 new words every day. The next day, I share my progress with my teacher, who praises me for my effort. The more you practice, the bigger your vocabulary will become, she says with a smile. I start to notice that as my vocabulary grows, I can express myself more clearly and confidently. I feel less frustrated when I can't find the right word, and I'm able to communicate more effectively. I'm excited to keep expanding my vocabulary and seeing my progress As I reflect on my journey, I realize how far I've come. From the early days when I struggled to understand even basic phrases, to now, where I can confidently speak and understand English. It's been a rewarding process. The road hasn't always been easy, but each challenge has helped me grow stronger and more determined. I'm no longer afraid to make mistakes. In fact, I now see them as opportunities to learn. I've learned to embrace mistakes as part of the process and to see them as stepping stones to improvement. Every day, I try to speak more, write more, and listen more, knowing that consistency is key. The support from my teacher and classmates has been invaluable. They've created a safe space for me to practice without fear of judgment. I've also made friends who are learning English alongside me, and together, we encourage each other to keep going. Now, I don't just see English as a skill I need to learn for work or travel. It's a part of my daily life. Whether I'm reading a book, watching a movie, or having a conversation, I feel more connected to the world around me. Looking ahead, I know that learning English is a lifelong journey. There's always more to learn, new words to discover, and new ways to improve. But I'm no longer overwhelmed by the task. Instead, I feel motivated and excited to continue improving every day. I've learned to be patient with myself, to enjoy the process, and to celebrate each small victory along the way. And as I look forward to the future, I know that with dedication and persistence, I'll continue to grow and become even more fluent in English. Thank you for joining me on this journey of learning English. Remember, every step you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goal. Keep practicing, stay patient, and celebrate your progress. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tips and inspiration. And most importantly, keep believing in yourself, because you're capable of achieving great things in your English learning journey. See you in the next video.